But I'm a firm believer you don't have to be in the building every time the doors swing open and close. That's
Yeah.
just
And
that's just me
That
talking.
outside. Pray back.
I'm not
Pray
saying
back.
that you have to go off of what I say or how I believe.
Right.
But what made me think about that and other things was the total day with my wife yesterday, from the moment that I went to see her on the lunch break to the time we got home and from choir practice last night. Um,
Mm.
I sat there and listened to her a lot, and I try not to always talk so much, you know. Um, and so this morning, after having time to meditate on yesterday, I wanna, I'm led somewhere that, like I said, it might help somebody this morning. I don't know. So,
Oh yeah.
All right.
anybody know what it feels like to serve and serve and serve? I'm not just talking about in church. I'm talking about in your family and your marriage.
yes,
And then you
yes,
Amen.
serve so much that and with your children, you don't throw all that in there,
yes.
to serve so much to only end up feeling frustrated,
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
irritated, and
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
physically worn out. Am I
Right.
talking to anybody here this morning?
Amen.
Amen.
You
Yes,
talking to
sir.
You know
me,
what it
Pastor?
feels
Amen.
like.
Talking to
Right.
me.
Almost to the point where what you used to do with so much joy
Mm-hmm.
sometimes causes you to feel almost angry.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I just want to know if I got a couple people that can relate to
Amen.
that.
Amen.
Yes,
Um,
you do, Pastor.
Yes.
I thought about that, and as I fell asleep
Mm.
last night, um, I was thinking of a particular passage in the Bible, and I had to go look it up and find out where it was and get the conversation so I wouldn't be misquoting and telling you where to go and it not being there. So I want you to listen to a text that was taken out of Luke chapter 10, verse 40. Um, it's two sisters are part of this story with Jesus. When you look at verse 40, it says, "But Martha was distracted with much serving. And she approached him, talking about Jesus, and said, Lord, do you not care that my sister has left me to serve alone?
Mm. Jesus.
Therefore, tell her to help me."
mm.
Um, I want y'all to go back and look at that story because a lot of times people don't pay that passage a whole lot of attention. I preached it before, but that came to mind and I didn't want to misquote it. So lately, I've been stressing y'all the importance of spending time with the Lord. Y'all have heard me talk about that. Those moments of isolation. I've mentioned being still. I mentioned listening and obedience. I mentioned all those things over the last few weeks if you've been paying attention. And in the ministry, I've learned that there are times when I have messed things up or placed myself in positions that ended up causing more harm by calling myself doing the work of the Lord when I should have just been sitting myself down,
Mm.
spending more time in prayer, spending more time with my family, and more importantly, I should have been spending more time in the presence of God. I'm only talking about me. I know that's not
Mm.
nobody else's testimony on here. And so I
Talking
think of
about me
Martha.
as well.
I think about Martha, who this lady had a true servant's heart. And again, I want you to go back and look at her story. Okay. I want you to look at her story because it might free somebody up. Martha loved Jesus so much and she would do anything for him.
Mm.
Is there
Mm.
anybody on here that truly, when you sing that song, I love you, Jesus, you mean it? Um,
Yes,
Hallelujah.
sir.
Yes,
Amen.
sir.
but she would do
Worship and
anything
adore
for
you,
him.
Lord.
But she had no problem in working for the Lord. But her struggle, Martha's struggle, from where I take it, when I look at it though, Martha's struggle was being still. She spent so much time serving Jesus that she couldn't find time to enjoy his company. Or
All
more
right.
important, she was spending so much time serving him that she was missing out on so many opportunities just to get to know him better. And so when you read that story in Luke chapter 10, you see that the harder she worked, the more frustrated she became with her sister. How many of you ever been on a job and you busting your behind, but there's somebody
Mm.
that's working with you that ain't doing nothing and they enjoying work and you struggling at work?
Yes, sir.
Amen.
Yeah.
Gotta say
So
it.
so there Mary was. Mary was sitting at Jesus' feet while her sister ran around the house trying to make everything perfect
Mm-hmm.
for Jesus. And so again, I'm gonna say Martha started out serving with a whole lot of joy, but eventually that joy turned into resentment and envy. Now here is what I'm learning. It's a good thing to want to serve the Lord in order for us to express our love for who he is and what he's done for us. It's a good thing to want to serve the Lord. But someone hear me, and you can apply this to other things, but I want to keep this when it comes in, from the standpoint of serving the Lord. When your actions consume your time and energy so much that you have little or no time for him, then you have become way too busy.
Mm-hmm.
Again, pastors ain't gonna like that message because they want you there every time the door's open.
Mm.
Church folk gonna want you to always answer their phone calls and respond because that's what you're supposed to do because you are a minister or a pastor. Many folks are spending too much time trying to serve the Lord and not enough time spending time with the Lord. Can I
Mm-hmm.
say that again? Because someone's missing
Say
that.
it, Pastor.
Many people are spending too much time trying to serve the Lord and not enough time being with the Lord. And so I catch myself thinking, I hope I'm getting some people to think now. I catch myself thinking like Martha. And I'm sure some of you have done the same thing, or you still do it right now.
Mm.
This is the mindset. I can speak for my wife. I'm going to speak for her this morning. If I don't do the work, it won't get done.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and some of you all think the same way. If I don't do it, it won't get done, whether it's on the job or whether it's in the house. And you're right. If you don't get it done, that may be true. But Jesus taught this. He taught that our highest priority has to be focusing on our relationship with him. And if anything detracts you from that relationship, then I'm gonna tell you something. Regardless of how good of a thing you think you're doing or how honorable the duty that you're performing, if it's detracting you from your relationship with the Lord, then guess what? That isn't from God.
Right.
That isn't from God. I don't care if it's in your house, in your home, in your marriage, or in the church. The Lord will not ask you to do something that gets in the way with your relationship with him.
Amen.
Now there are times when serving God and carrying out his missions is the best way for us to get to know him and experience him. I will say that. But we need the wisdom to recognize that there are times when it's more important for us to just shut up and sit at his feet and listen for what he has to say. That's what Mary was doing. And yes, we are not called to continually sit at his feet either, though. So I'm going to say that to the folks who say, I'm just going to sit here. I'm just going to sit here because
Mm.
if you just constantly sit there, then you won't be able to do no work to serve him either.
Amen.
So I have learned that I cannot neglect my home for ministry. Uh,
Amen.
I must have time to be in the presence of my wife and my family in order to teach, to listen, and to love on. But just like with them, if I don't find time to sit in the presence of the Lord, I won't find no time for the restoration and the replenishing that I need. So what am I saying here? Be careful not to get so caught up in serving that you miss time to be replenished and restored and find quality time with the Lord and also with those that the Lord has placed in your life.
Amen.
So, word of the day for someone who has found themselves guilty of what I have just talked about, 2 words: sit down.